Hey ho, everybody.
Hello. Hey everyone. How are you doing? Happy New
Hi.
Year, Emma.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody here. I've just made a few people mods. Whether you want to be or not, I don't know. You didn't get any choice. I just modded you. Yvonne, you're now a mod. Oh,
Yay,
God.
Yvonne's on the team.
So hopefully this
Thank
isn't
you.
going to go on for too long. You know me, I don't like to drown it out and go on forever because I just like to get to the point and not keep you for longer than you need to be. We have got a little bit of information. Kat's a bit dubious about it, but we will go through it and we can listen to it and see what you all think. Okay.
You know me, Emma, cynical to the last.
Cynical. Hi, Candace. Hi, Kat. Hi, Slink. I'm saying hi
Hi,
to you, Kat.
Deb.
Trina, Cindy, John
Hi, Jay.
Spring.
7
Hey,
alibis.
I really enjoyed chatting to you last night. 7 alibis. Oh, who have we got?
Dodging bullets. Hey.
And Angelina Marie. Deb.
I'm having to scroll back through the chat here. Hi, Blue Eyes Webster. Hi, Prolific.
Oh gosh, there's so many people. And first of all, I want to read a little statement that I have to do with the TBI. So a bit of information that you might not know. But before that, I'm just going to say I'm trying not to make this too long because I am still not very well. I'm struggling to sit in one position for any length of time. So hopefully we'll just go for an hour and then I can try and get comfortable back in bed. I've doped up with my painkillers, so hopefully we'll be okay. Right, okay, so I am going to read a statement. Let me just ask Kat how you are first. How are you, Kat? Kitty?
Emma.
Where did you go? How much vodka have you
my,
had?
I had to mute my mic because my cat is having a furball issue again in the background, so I never want to hear
Oh,
that.
God. Emergency furball issue going on.
No, he's fine. He's fine. Sorry about that. I muted and then I was like, oh my God, Emma's talking to me. What was the question?
I was just asking you how you were getting on.
Yeah, I'm chipper. Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you feeling
I'm
any
good.
better or are you still poorly?
I'm still not good. I'm struggling to sit in one position for any length of time, but we'll get there, you know, and just keep moving around. So some information, just laughing at that furball situation that you've got.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I'm going to read a statement to you that I've written today. Okay, so before we start today's live, I need to make you aware of something. As you know, many of us have been following this case. We've theorised about what could have happened to Summer on the 15th of June. And many of us have spoken to family and friends of the Wells in order to gain information that may help answer some of the questions that we have related to that infamous day. Now, without going into too much information on this, I can assure you that the TBI is working tirelessly with this investigation, and by doing so, have reached out to a few of us creators and subscribers to take our information. They're processing the information that they have found on YouTube and are taking statements from some of us. From what I've heard, it's likely, well, hopefully, there will be some arrests soon in the disappearance of Summer. Although they wouldn't give me too much information on that. So, I mean, that would be bittersweet and gives us hope that this case is moving along in the right direction. And the only advice I can give you guys is to listen to everything, but believe what you feel personally as factual rather than conspiracy, and just be careful what you put in the comments on anybody's channel, because if the creators don't run with it, the TBI are watching. So there has been a little bit of an issue with so you know, I spoke to Grandma and Grandis, whatever you want to call her. And I spoke to her for about a week and had quite a lot of messages. Well, I did send those into the TBI, as I told you at the beginning, like when I spoke to her. And then about a month after I spoke to her, this other lady came forward and said, I think she was an older lady, and she said that she'd also been speaking to Grandis. And there was a lot of information that she came out with, including the fact that Summer never got out of the truck. I don't know if you remember. Now, this information wasn't initially put out on YouTube. It was put out on a Patreon by the name of Critical K, who used to have a YouTube channel. And she put this information out, and it's been confused with mine. So the TBI are very interested in knowing who said what to who. Was it Grandis that spoke to me about that, or was it Grandis that spoke to the other lady about that? So without going into too much information and too much detail, we're just going backwards and forwards with what was said to which creator. But they are doing everything they can. They're looking at all the evidence, and they are taking statements from people with relevant information. So that's good. That's what we want to hear. We all want to know that they're doing something, don't we, Kat?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really important what they've said. I think it's good for people to know that actually they are taking YouTube really seriously, and they're actually taking these conversations that have been had, and they're actually taking it seriously. They're not just dismissing it out of hand.
Yeah. And it's good to get that information. It's good because it just makes you think, well, they are doing something. Somebody's doing something. Because it's easy when you're not involved in the investigation as such, when you're not a part of the sheriff's office, to just sit there and think, well, they've not arrested anyone yet, so nothing's happening. Nothing's happening in this case because nobody's been arrested yet.
Right. And no further information seems to be coming directly, like on the TBI website, or they say to us, like, keep your eye on the TBI website. If there's any official updates, we'll post them on there. Don't believe anything here online. And we all think, wow, we've been working really hard to research and look into this case. Are they not like listening to us? And then you get a statement like that to say, actually, they are taking it seriously. They do want more information, and they are considering what's going to happen in the early part of this year. I thought that was quite astonishing, but really important.
Yeah. I just think it's really good. I've just lost my train of thought for a second. I was reading the comments. Everybody saying Happy New Year. And where was I going to go with that? So, yeah, because when you're just not part of it, but they're taking statements. I think at one point they were just listening to everything that was being said. But to know that they're taking statements now and actually putting together the details makes you think, okay, so at first they were just listening to everything that was going on, but now they're actually going to the creators or whoever it was that put the information out, and they're actually asking for that information straight from the horse's mouth and statements to corroborate it and the messages, because they're starting to put the evidence together. So that makes me think, good, that they're doing something about it. Just ignore the Cash App thing on the screen, guys. I started making a like a background, and it showed up. The Cash App thing just showed up on the background, but now I'm gone live, you can't see it, so just ignore that. But for anybody that does want to know, it is just a pound sign and Crime Stories Obsessed. So next, let me get to my information. The boyfriend says, I've called you. I'm like, yes, I'm live.
Interrupted by the boyfriend.com.
Yes, wasn't interested in me 10 minutes ago. Okay, so I was told some information which, as I said at the beginning, listen to everything and take in what you believe to be factual. We don't need any negative comments. That's not true, blah, blah, blah. Just believe what you feel is factual or what you think sounds right to you, and just ignore the rest. Okay,
Okay,
so
Emma, I just have to apologise to you quickly then, because
verbal, another
no, no,
verbal.
no,
Okay.
no,
No.
because I did actually say that earlier. I did actually say that's not true, but I
Yes,
don't
you
know that
did.
it's not true. That's just my opinion. That
Yeah.
yeah, there's certain
Well, we
things I
can go
have
back and
a
forth.
little suspect about, but I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just discerning the information, if you will.
Yes.
So go
So,
for it.
okay. So I was told by somebody that Don was not supposed to be around the kids. And that's the reason why he was working late. Did you just hear a car go past really loud? I think it was a
Yeah, are
motorbike.
you presenting from the outside world, or?
Anybody think I was on the main road? I don't know what all that noise is. Anyway, so I was told that Don was not supposed to be around the children, not supposed to be back at the house. Now we've heard. I'm not going to mention this lady's channel because I'm not completely impressed with her at the minute. But we've all heard recently that there was a couple of calls that we heard. Candace dial 911 in order to report that. First of all, I think it was she'd call because she said that he was going to come back and he was going to do her in, basically. And the kids were there. You could hear them in the background. You could hear what sounded like Summer. She was saying, she sounded upset, and she was saying, he's going to come back. He's going to get me. He's going to do me in, and all this kind of stuff. We heard that call on that other channel. Then we also have heard the call made when Summer went missing. We've also heard the call where and we heard the situation, what went on in October, where he apparently was arrested for owning that item that he shouldn't have had that can cause a lot of damage to someone. And there was a fight and the kids were all there, and he got arrested and put pressure on Candace, and eventually she dropped the charges. But before she dropped the charges, she put in a statement to say that she was scared of him. Her mother, Grandis, was scared of him. And so although the charges were dropped, from what I was told was that he wasn't supposed to be around the kids. Now, you can take from this what you want, whether you believe it, whether you don't believe it. It's hearsay at the end of the day. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm just telling you what I was told. We've also had the situation when Candace was apparently pregnant with Summer and how he kicked her in the stomach. I'm not sure if there was a 911 call for that. Did you hear about that, Kat?
Heard so much. I'm trying to remember if I actually had the 911 call. Yes,
but
I think there was a 911 call. I'm pretty sure. Was
yeah,
that was the
2015? When was it?
2015, because Candace was 3 months pregnant with Summer at the time.
Yeah, so she was only 3 months pregnant. Now, there's been various calls. We've heard them. We've heard the situations about Jose. Nobody can get in touch with him. I texted him. He just blocked me straight away. He sent me a message, but then deleted it and then blocked me. So I guess he didn't want to speak to me, which, I was being perfectly nice. Even called him sweetheart. Anyway, didn't want to speak to me. So there's been various calls to the police, and they are aware. Now,
Yeah, sorry, Emma, no, there wasn't a call. I don't think there was a call. There was documentation came out about the pregnancy, one where she was pregnant, but there wasn't actually a call. I just seen that in the chat and I'm racking my brains. I don't think there was a call. I think it was documentation that came out from the police.
Okay. Night, Holly. Holly's going to bed.
Good night.
So now, obviously, I work for an ambulance service when I'm well. An ambulance, police, and fire, as well as other agencies, have a duty, what's called a duty of care, to look over children when they attend the scene of an accident or domestic or whatever it is, they have a duty of care to make sure that everybody involved, especially the children, are okay. Now, every time that they've been out to these children, the police, you've got to imagine that they've seen these kids possibly crying, running around at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning while all this is going on. They're hearing all about the violence and everything. They would be in a lot of trouble if they did not report this to CPS. When there's concern for children identified. So they have to consider the welfare of the children, which is like particularly important when dealing with any incidents. And they take names and dates of birth and they report it. So what I was told was he shouldn't have been there at the address with the kids, and this was the reason why he was working late a lot of the time, because he wasn't going back to the house, or if he was, he wasn't supposed to be there. Now, we've all heard about when the CPS called to the house and Candace didn't open the door. I was told that he just hid. She didn't answer the door and he hid. Now, do you remember when CM went to the house, Chris McDonough, and he was thinking he could just feel like somebody was watching him? I wouldn't be surprised if he was there, to be honest. I mean, we can't say for definitely it was, but
no.
Anyway,
the bit where Candace didn't answer the door to the CPS, when was that?
It was, I put it in a couple of my videos a while back.
I must have missed that bit. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was some of the friends that had put out statements saying that they were concerned for the children and they'd gone to CPS, they'd put in a report and everything. And they were saying that when CPS came, she didn't answer the door.
Right. I must have missed that entirely.
Okay,
that's interesting.
So I have to find it. It's back in one of my videos. It's one of the statements that somebody put out on one of these Facebook groups.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's been a lot of incidents. I think we can say that there's probably a lot more 911 calls coming from that house with children than any of us listening right now have had in our lives. Yeah. And due to that, and then the police having to, as a duty of care, putting in CPS reports, plus the friends that have already put in CPS reports, including Ali, they have to look into this. They have to. They wouldn't be doing their job correctly if they didn't. And also, we can't forget the fact that he had that powder weapon that they arrested him for. And so he wasn't supposedly supposed to be at the house. Now, whether they had an idea that he was going up there, or maybe somebody had told them or whatever, I don't know. But I think they had an idea. I don't know, but I just find it strange that we heard, didn't we, that the CPS was supposed to turn up the day after Summer went missing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so it's a bit disputed, but yeah, I have heard that several times.
Yeah, well, I think Ali said it, and then one of the friends said it as well. Now, 2 days, was it 2 days before that Dudley got sacked, let go of the job?
Yeah, it was 2 days or the day before. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Don said that he was acting strange and he didn't understand why until he Googled the symptoms of meth addiction.
Yeah.
Like we believed him, but he let him go.
I mean, if you've watched the Sweetie Pilo tiny little interview clip that she's put on today, I'm not going to play it because obviously it's her channel and I don't want to do that, take views away from her. So go across to Sweetie Pilo. But she released a very small clip of an interview that she had with Dudley, this guy that worked with Don, the one that he let go because he said he was on meth. And he said, this Dudley said, that Don would set up like a little camp kind of thing in one of the houses that they were working on, and he had a stove and like sleeping bag and all that kind of stuff, like he wasn't planning on going home. So when I heard that, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I was told that he wasn't supposed to be going home. And so I thought, well, maybe that's the reason why he was setting up camp, because he wasn't supposed to go home. But then I also heard that, didn't Dudley say that the CPS were coming that night and Don said he couldn't be there? He couldn't be there. Now, I assume when I first heard that it was because he was working. But if he wasn't allowed to be there because he wasn't supposed to be living there, that would be a good enough reason why he was staying away. And what do you think to that, Kat?
And it's the first time I've heard, like, during this whole case, that Don wasn't allowed to be there. Like, literally the first time I've ever heard it in the last 6 months, that Don wasn't allowed to be in the house with the kids. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, why are we hearing this now? But carry on. I'm listening.
So whether this person that told me was putting it together, whether that was made up, but you've got to look at, as soon as she told me, I was like, right, okay, let me look into this. So I was thinking about how I work, the CPS, how that's supposed to work. Supposedly all these calls that were being made to 911, that were being made to CPS, they had to have been looking into this. He was arrested for having a weapon on him. He was arrested and taken away, or the police came out because he was threatening to do her in. Like, they came because he kicked her in the stomach. It was obvious that there was some violence going on in that house. And if they've got kids running around, that would make sense that he shouldn't be there after all those episodes.
But was it a legal stipulation that he wasn't allowed to be there, or was it a suggestion from CPS that they separate because of the domestic stuff that was going on there? Because I know they will suggest that a couple will separate if they're having domestic violence issues, but I don't know if they can legally mandate the father who owns the house not to live there. I don't know.
Jakey, just reading your comment. The reason he went missing was because he had been on a YouTube creator's channel and was drunk, etc. So he took off for a few days on a drug and alcohol binge. No, we're talking about yeah, I remember that. You're right, but this was prior to Summer going missing.
It was in
unless you're talking to someone else in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, possibly. It was in October, wasn't it, that whole domestic violence thing kicked off in October 2020?
Yeah.
And there was a weapon found in the glove box of his vehicle at the time, and he wasn't allowed to own that weapon. I don't know what the weapon was, but he wasn't allowed to own a weapon because he's a felon. So he then was arrested, but then Candace dropped the DV charges. And what we're debating is whether he was allowed to stay in the house with the kids and Candace after that happened, because it's been suggested today that he wasn't allowed to stay at the house, and therefore he was camping and living out of the houses that he was drywalling for, with a microwave and a cool box or something, was it, Emma?
Yeah.
That he had, apparently. And so he wasn't allowed to be at the home before Summer went missing. But yeah, this is what we're talking about.
At the end of the day, we've all heard Don. He comes across as this, God-fearing Christian who is quiet talking, but we've heard him when he's angry. He seems to me and to a lot of other people that he likes to take charge. It's his wife, his kids, and his house. And if there was rules set in place for him to not be around the kids, can you imagine him obeying that? I don't
Hell
think
no.
he would.
This is Dom we're talking about.
I mean, we've heard him say, Candace did everything with the kids. I didn't really do anything. I don't think he did anything with them because he was never there. I don't think he was supposed to be there when he was there. But I mean, who knows? This could be a load of rubbish. And so, where are we? Let me have a look. See if I mean, let's just take a look at this picture. Where is it? If I uploaded it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so look at this picture. This picture was apparently taken 2 days or the day before Summer went missing. And the reason behind it was that this particular family, who I think this, it might not be, but I think that's Robin's daughter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at Robin's daughter and then looking at this little girl here. I think this is Robin's daughter, but it might not be. And I think they came to the house because the new CPS was coming and they were trying to tidy it up. And that's what I heard. I got a message through ages ago, months back, saying that they'd come round as a family to try and help tidy up the house. And this was like the day before Summer went missing, and the day before CPS turned up. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So
she looks so poorly in that picture.
She looks very thin. She looks emaciated, meaning very thin. She looks gaunt in her face. She looks hunched over like she's in pain.
Yeah.
She looks like she's got a huge rucksack on her back. That's what she looks like by the way that she's kind of hunched over. Now, in which case, if she did have injuries, as many people have theorized, and CPS were coming the following day, would they notice?
Well, I mean, I would have noticed that day, probably. I don't think I'd have been able to turn a blind eye and leave that child there that day.
I think that photograph was taken by Robin. But did she notice it? Surely she must have noticed something.
I mean, how could you not? There's people in the chat saying she looked like a Holocaust child. She looks like she's from a concentration camp. She's malnourished.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Where's my background gone? Oh, there we go. Right, get back to the comments. So, if he was a manipulator, a narcissist, as many have suggested, and he likes his own way, would he stay away?
Hell no.
I mean, there was a lot of drink involved, a lot of substance involved. There was a lot of pressures on them because of the CPS coming round, and the reports had gone in for them. They were feeling like their friends were getting at them because they were, she even said, because Ali had rung CPS, and she put on Facebook one time, I don't know how she worded it, but something along the lines of, this CPS calling BH, basically I'll get my own back on you kind of thing. So there were a lot of stresses and things regarding them and the kids. So what was going on? And, there's two things I'm getting at tonight, and that is, did something happen and was she taken somewhere because CPS were coming the next day? She had injuries, she didn't look particularly good, and they knew that they would see them, because what they do when they come out to a child, they take the child to one side and they speak to the child on their own. And I know a lot of people say, no, that's not the case. If it's an investigation, like a police investigation, they have somebody with them. But generally, if it's a CPS investigation, they don't have the parents there. If they think for any reason that there's any abuse going on, they do not have the parents there, because they're coerced then into saying something. So did something happen? Was that the reason why? I mean, everyone's to blame. Everyone else is to blame. Everyone's against them. The TBI, they've had a go at the search teams, his sisters. the
Joe
kidnappers,
Biden.
Joe Biden, Candace. He even called me an evil witch. There's so many people, he throws everybody under the bus. I mean, he's even said in front of us lot, to Candace, I've protected you, and he just throws
I've got
everybody under
7
the bus.
alibis. Candace has got none. Candace is
Yes.
going down.
Yes.
To which Candace replied, I know.
I mean, I even blamed Chris M. And I mean, Chris M works for the Cold Case Foundation. What does Chris M want with a 5-year-old child? It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And he just seems to think the world owes him something in some way. And the way he speaks to Candace, like, I was listening to some interview the other day and she had something going on in the background. He was like, turn it off. Turn it down.
I heard that.
And I thought, wow, is that how you speak to her? Like, I'd have been gone.
Oh, he's a control freak. There's no doubt about that. He's a complete and utter out and out control freak. And to be fair, they're codependent because of the drugs and the alcohol and stuff. They're completely codependent on each other. They keep each other going because, she needs her fix of whatever and he needs to be the one controlling the situation, and they go back and forth. I think it's just they rely on each other to keep each other going, really. But they have these threatening kind of things that they, he threatens her, you're going down. Oh no. She calls the police on him, and then obviously he forces her to drop the charges and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's just a kind of really abusive relationship. But to be fair, it's not all one-sided.
No, there's a lot of manipulation tactics involved on both sides. And I mean, we've seen the manipulation and we've heard of the manipulation with Don towards Candace, putting pressure on her to drop the charges because he knew he was going to go away for quite a while. Last time, after the October incident, we've seen him pressurizing his sisters, trying to reach out to them nicely, then do silly jokes, in order to put pressure on them to drop their statements. He's apparently been speaking to his father in order to ask the sisters to drop the charges. And then the father stopped speaking to the sisters for a period of time in order, I'm guessing, to try and put pressure on them to drop the charges also. So there's a lot of, hi John Q, and there's a lot of manipulation tactics going on from what I can see. So what do you think to everything we've just...
I'll be back. I'm having some technical
problems here. No verbal. Okay. Right. So what do you think to that, guys, before we move on to the next stuff that I've got to tell you about? What do you think to all of what we've discussed so far? We've got John Q in the house. Whoop, whoop. Love a bit of John Q. He's got such a sexy voice. Right, let me put the link in the chat for anybody that wants to come up. So what do you think to the situation with Dawn supposedly not supposed to be around the children? Do you agree with that? Do you think it's the truth? Do you think, I mean, it should be, after all those instances where Candace has wrote down 911 to say that he was abusing her in some way, whether it be kicking her in the stomach, whether it be threatening to come back and do her in, whether it be because of the Jose incident. I can't see, after all of that, how, and Candace's statement saying she was concerned for the safety of herself and her children, how was it possible that he was still living there? I don't think he was. I agree with this woman. You can take it for what it is, believe what you want, ignore the bits you don't believe. But I'd be interested to know in your opinion. Kat. Say hello, Kat.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry, I was having some really bad interference on the line on my phone. It was crackling so loudly, so I just dropped out so I could come back in.
Okay.
I think he was living there. I don't think he would have given it a second thought. Even if it was mandated, even if it was court mandated that he didn't live there, I still think he was living there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do as well. But the comment that you made earlier to me, excuse me, the comment that you made earlier was a valid comment. And that was, if that was the case, Emma, why were the kids not taken straight away? I mean, and we know he
Exactly.
was there on the 15th. Of course, he was there on the 15th because his daughter had just gone missing. So, of course, he's going to go back to the house. It was an emergency situation. You would be, whether they told you to stay away or not, you would be in that situation. But then why didn't they take the children away for what, nearly, was it 3 weeks or something?
Right. It was July, and someone went missing in June. So the thing is, like, if the courts had mandated, the CPS courts had mandated that Dom was not allowed to live there in between the time that they had that incident, the DB incident, and that was the point. That was October, and then he wasn't allowed to live there. Now, they would have known at some point during that time that he was actually there, because I do not believe that he went every single night he did not spend in that house. And then on June the 15th, they turn up and they know that he's there because he rushes home from work. Now, you could say, okay, well, that was an emergency situation. His daughter had just gone missing. The rest of the time, he's been living off a microwave and a cool box in his car. I don't believe that. But even if that was the case, on June the 15th, when they turned up, bearing in mind they'd had all of these CPS things happen in the meantime, on June the 15th, they turn up, they know that he's living there, and they don't take the kids straight away. So they waited another 3 weeks. Now, they would have known that he was living there on the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th of June. They didn't remove the kids until July. So it can't have been a court mandated thing that he wasn't allowed to live there. Otherwise, they would have taken the kids the minute they knew he was actually there.
But could they prove it? I mean, I know he came back on that 15th, but did they have evidence that he was there before that? And I mean, even after that. We saw him on the news, didn't we, outside the house a few times?
He was on YouTube, he was on Facebook.
Unless he could turn around and say, I need to be there to support my wife in this situation. But I mean, if he's already been told to stay away, I would have thought that would still stand.
Yeah, absolutely. If that's what I mean, it's not necessarily that they would say, oh, okay, well, we know we told you you legally were not allowed to live here since October and your daughter's gone missing. So we think your kids are perfectly safe now that you're home for 3 weeks. There's so much dodgy stuff or sketchy stuff about why they didn't take the kids sooner than the 3 weeks anyway. If they'd have thought he was living there, they would have taken those kids straight away. I think they couldn't have mandated him not to live there in the first place. I think it was possibly a temporary protection order that was put into place until Candace dropped the charges. And then at that point, they had no right to tell him that he couldn't live there because the charges had been dropped. So in that respect, there was no reason in legal
you don't go to
terms why
court
he couldn't
straight
live there.
away. You don't go to court straight away, do you either? So if that happened in, say, in October, and they said, right, you need to stay away, it could have been January before you even went to court. So I mean, it might be true, but it might have been a bit earlier.
Right,
I'm not
and
sure.
I think it was December that it went to court, or November, end of November, beginning of December that it went to court that year. And possibly there was a temporary restraining order that he wasn't allowed to be in the house. But at the point where the charges were dropped, in fact, I don't even know if it went to court because the charges got dropped by Candace quite soon after. So it might
But
not have
even
even
if
gone
they
to court.
even if you drop, because I mean, a lot of women do that. They put in a complaint about the husband for domestic violence and then they drop the charges because they're scared and they feel intimidated and under pressure to do so.
Yeah.
So, but
At the
they've got to
point,
look further at that, because if she's put in a statement to say, look, I'm scared for my safety of myself and my children, my mother's scared, they have to still look at that. Even if the charges are dropped, surely they've got to be saying to themselves, wait a minute, we've arrested him because he had this powder, gun. This has happened, that's happened. We've got various calls, we've got various CPS reports. This isn't good. Something's going to happen at some point. And I can't see how they could get away with not having some restrictions in place.
I kind of think there probably was restrictions originally when the charges were made. So I think possibly because of the domestic violence charges that were faced by Don at that point before Candace dropped them, I think they possibly did put some temporary restraining orders in place, especially to do with the kids. But that
Mm,
domestic violence thing wasn't in direct relation to his kids. It was in relation to Candace. He wasn't violent to his children in that report. He was violent to Candace.
but then they're not doing a duty of care in looking after the kids because they're
Oh,
just
I don't
looking
think
at
they've
her
done a
then.
duty of care. I mean, to be fair,
Mm,
I can't see that CPS in this case really has done a duty of care. They didn't remove the kids till 3 weeks after Summer went missing. I mean, that in itself is a massive, to me,
yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, failure of family of care, of duty of care. But um, it's possible that for a couple of weeks or however long it was until Candace dropped the charges, that Don had to live in the houses that he was renovating. He had a
Yeah.
microwave and a cool box and all the things that were said today on that video. That is possible. It's
Mm,
possible that he, sometimes stayed away from home. I mean, we know he went on benders in certain areas since Summer went missing. There's nothing to say he didn't do that beforehand. He went to Utah for 2 months with his son. So he's quite used to staying away from home if he has to, but I do not
mm,
think that it was mandated that he stay away from October to June. I just cannot see that being the truth. A, because I don't think the courts would have had the power to do that. If they seriously thought that those children were in that much danger, they would have been up there every week, checking
mm,
in on them, checking in on Candace, making sure Don wasn't there, all of that kind of stuff. But they obviously didn't do that because it was the 15th of June that Summer went missing, and it was sometime in July when the kids were taken away. So they obviously weren't that closely keeping an eye on that situation.
mm. I mean, I think there's something to be said for both sides of this coin because if he wasn't staying away, then why? After all the 911 calls, all the reports of violence, all, against her, and the fact that were these kids safe? Were they doing enough to protect them? But then on the other side of the coin, you've got if he was there. I'm losing my train of thought now. Cat, help me out. Both,
Well,
there's,
the thing is, yeah,
were they
he
doing their
if he
job?
was there, see, I think he was there. I think he was there. Hey, Betty Boop, thank you for coming in. It's nice to see you. Missed you.
Oh, no, thank
Um,
you, guys.
I think he was there during that time, and I don't think there's any question that he was there during that time. And I think the reason why the CPS or whoever didn't go up there and check to see if he was there because it was never mandated that he not be there. I think
Mm,
this has become like a look at where the story came from today, because this has come out today. I've never in this whole last 6 months have I heard anybody say that Dom was not allowed to live up at that house in between
mm-hmm.
October and June. Now, right or wrong,
Yeah,
it can't have been mandated, because if it had been court mandated, they would have had people up there checking every single day to make sure that he wasn't there. If that was the case, ultimately he's the homeowner. He owns that house. He owns the land.
mm-hmm.
Um, if they were that concerned that he was going to go back there and that those kids would be in danger, then they would have provided a safe house at least for the kids. They obviously didn't think, after Candace dropped the charges, that those kids were at risk. And if they did think they were at risk, then why didn't they remove them until three weeks
Yeah,
after? You know,
exactly, exactly.
there's been a massive failing of the
I think
system.
so. I think so too. Because either way you look at it, it's not good, is it?
No, it's terrible. We've
So,
said for a while about that whole removing the kids 3 weeks after, when we all saw the conditions that they were living in. We've seen the photos of Summer now, before she went missing, being in a poorly state, and we've seen the photo of her in a coffin. We've seen the photos of her with bruises and marks on
mm,
her face, and we've seen these photos and we're looking at it like, well, why did the CPS not even, they've supposedly called several times. How the hell have they missed these children, not just Summer but her brothers as well? How did they miss this?
yeah.
Shocking.
Well, we've got 450 people in here now. Initially, we only had 160. So I'm just going to reread this statement very quickly because this goes along with what we're going to talk about next.
It's a good statement, so everybody listen because it's really important. Go.
Right. So, okay. So before, where else did we start? Blah, blah, blah. As you know, many of us are following this case and have theorized about what we think happened to Summer on the 15th of June this year. And as many of us have spoken to family or friends of the Wells in order to help gain information that may help us answer some of the questions that are related to that infamous day. Now, without giving too much information on this, I can assure you that the TBI is working tirelessly to investigate this case. By doing so, they have reached out to a few of us creators and subscribers to take our information. They are processing the information that they've received from us and that they have found on YouTube and are taking statements from some of us. From what I have heard, it is likely and hopeful that they will be making some arrests early this year in Summer's disappearance, although it was difficult to get an answer on that. So it will be bittersweet, and it gives us hope that this case is moving along in the right direction. The advice I give you today is listen to everything, but believe what you feel is factual rather than conspiracy, and to watch what you comment because they are watching us. Now, the reason why I say that is, and I'll just reiterate, there was some confusion because I spoke to Candaces and then another creator from a Patreon account spoke to, I think somebody spoke to Candaces, also an older lady. And the information that I gave seems to have overlapped with the information that this other lady gave. Now, this other lady turned around and said that Candaces had told her that Summer had not got out of the car, whereas Grandma didn't tell me that. She did the whole flower planting story with me. So there's been a bit of confusion, and due to that, the TBI have wanted, statements, and they're wanting to know who said what to which creator. So with that being said, it's good to know that they are not just listening now and not just writing things down. They're actually going to individual sources, taking the information and statements from those individual people and putting it together to make a case, which makes me feel better that there's something happening. I don't know about you. What do you think, Kat?
Oh yeah, I think it's very reassuring in terms of,
Yeah.
knowing that actually a lot of the stuff that's been said to not necessarily this channel particularly, but to other channels is going to be called in. They've taken your conversation that you have with Candaces seriously. They've taken other conversations that have happened with the same person seriously. Also, they're going to be calling in a lot of different creators to find out, because over this last 6 months, they've seen what's gone down on YouTube. I mean, they said they were processing the digital evidence, and part of the digital evidence is social media. They said that. So it's really good to know that actually these things haven't just been said as a kind of blurt it out on YouTube kind of thing. It's actually being taken into consideration and processed, and they're looking at how it fits into the story, the timeline, and everything that happened on June the 15th. So I think it's really important.
So the answer to this question is yes.
Oh, sorry. My long answer to the question is yes.
No, just somebody's asking me.
Oh, okay.
Something. Right. So what we're going to talk about next. Gosh, this is gassy. I've got some. What have I got tonight? It's Christmas drink. It's left over. Passion fruit and peach mango cider. It's amazing, but it's very gassy.
That sounds awesome.
Oh gosh,
I've got gin and
good job I'm in bed on my own tonight, isn't it?
Same. We know how to live it large, Emma.
So, okay. Now, this older lady, this was because I spoke to Grandma nearly 5 months ago. And I spoke to her for a week and I gained a lot of information. If you haven't seen that video, it's got 66,000 views. It's a really good video. Go across and you'll see a lot of the messages on there. Now, Another lady then spoke to Grandis about a month after me, and she didn't know where to go with this information, and so she went to Critical K. Now, Critical K was on YouTube. For whatever reason, she's not anymore, and she has a Patreon account. And this, if you ever want to watch that video where this lady speaks to Critical K, you can go across. I think you have to pay like a small fee, but you can listen to it. I'm not going to play it on here because I don't want to get a strike. But what I will do is I have got the information from it. So that day at the waterhole, this is what this elderly lady said. So she said they arrived at the waterhole, okay, and I think Grandma had been in the car. Did you say, Kat? She'd been topping up her phone or something?
So
anyway,
the waterhole, she was putting credit onto her phone. That's what was told by Hunter and by Candace to Chris McDonough when he did the interviews, that Grandma had stayed in the phone to put money on her phone.
Well, this older lady said that she got out of the car, she was looking at the flowers, was Grandis, and Summer was swimming, and Candace was on the phone to Dawn for ages, but nothing was said about what they were talking about. So what was Hunter doing during this time? I'm guessing he was either in the woods or he was playing with Summer. Now, let's get these photos up. So we've seen these photos where they're playing in the water. Okay. Just bear in mind, behind Summer's head, you might be able to see that wood sticking out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So after a while, Summer started complaining of feeling very cold, extremely thirsty. She had the chills, a little bit like when you've got a fever, kind of those symptoms. Shivering, very tired, and sleepy. Okay, now at the time, Grandma told me that Summer wasn't very well, she was tired, but she didn't go into that much detail as she did with this other woman. Okay, so I'm going to show you something. This is Summer in the car. Right, so we'll just get this comment off the screen. So we've seen this photo before, and I have suggested that she looks like she's got a bruise on her head. Whether you think she has or not, everybody's, entitled to their own opinions about that. And why did she have a head on there? If Grandis is telling this woman why that she had the chills, why would she have a head on this milk carton? Anyway. Okay, so now look at this photo. Okay, so I, trying to put my medical knowledge together, was looking at her hand. And as you can see, the nail bed is purple, but the nail is white. Okay, and her hands look waxy to me. But I've always said that I didn't think she looked deceased in this photo. Okay, I know it's difficult to talk about these things, but from what I could see of her hand, it didn't look good. Okay. Can you see anything else in that photo that you don't like the look of? Kat?
No, I guess it's been debated a lot of times if it's blood under the seatbelt or liquid or shadow or,
I suppose it depends how far you zoom in on it. It could be juice. We saw the orange bottle on the seat. Did she just spill it all down herself? Was it water from swimming? Or is it blood? And I think, like you say, many have speculated of what it could be. I think it would be very difficult to tell without actually being there. It does look like blood. You could talk yourself into saying that is blood, just because I'm quite concerned with what we would call peripheral shutdown on our hands. So your peripheries are your outer extremities, which are like your hands, your feet, top of your head, the things that are furthest from your body, called peripheries. And they are the first things that shut down before you shut down, because your blood is taken from your extremities and goes to the main part of your core of your body where it's needed.
Yeah.
So when anything's wrong with you, you'll find your hands or feet are cold and you don't have a lot of blood in your extremities. And that's what it looks like to me. I see like the purple cuticle there, white nails, waxy hands. So I was looking at that and I've been studying these photos, and obviously I'm not a forensic psychologist, but I have seen a lot of people injured, dying, etc.
Yeah.
Look at this. Now
I always
these are
said I
some
would
of
I always said I would defer to your knowledge on it, because obviously I don't know the first thing about it, but you're really experienced, so.
From what I think, she was playing in that water. I don't think her mum was watching her. Now I don't know if this is a head injury. I don't know if this is blood. I don't know. But we were told that the symptoms she was having were similar to these. So a pulse would be fast, altered mental status, tired, weak, rapid breathing, fatigue, maybe confusion, very pale skin, sweating or chills, thirst, drowsiness, unconsciousness. Now, these are the signs of shock. Shock is a lack of blood to the body. Okay. Now, when you think of when somebody bleeds, you think of blood everywhere. Okay. Now, there was no blood found well, as far as we're aware, they didn't find any blood. But we don't know that. We don't know that, do we? Because the TBI aren't telling us this. But you think when somebody bleeds out, they're bleeding, it's everywhere. It's not always the case. If you bang your head, you can have a bleed on your brain. You can bang your stomach. Somebody punches you in the stomach. You can have an internal bleeding. And that can be going on inside. You're still losing the blood just because you can't see it. It's still going on. And there's like 4 stages to shock that you go into as you lose blood or as you lose fluid out of your body. And at each stage, as you get further to number 4, you become unconscious. Now, when I had my little girl, and the reason why I only have one is because I got to stage 3 of shock when I had her, because I had to have my placenta manually removed. I lost a ton of blood and I was at stage 3. And I remember laying there. I was shivering, cold, weak. I was passing in and out of consciousness. I didn't know whether I was here or there. Apparently, I was talking a load of rubbish, even though it made sense to me. And they pumped a lot of blood into me. So you can have internal bleeding. It doesn't always have to be external. So if there was some kind of bleeding to someone, whether it be head injury, whether it be from a stomach or wherever it was from that day, your body would start to shut down, and you would start to become a lot of these symptoms that have been suggested. So your body can only compensate for so long, and the longer the blood loss goes on for, and especially in children, like with us, we get poorly gradually during the day. Kids can look ill 1 minute and then be unconscious the next. They go downhill very, very quickly. And without treatment, you'll surely be very, very ill, if not worse. So these were the symptoms that this woman had apparently said that Grandma told her. And they can be symptoms of saltwater drowning. You become very thirsty, very weak and tired. Having said that, I don't think it was salt water in that lake, Kat.
I don't know. I think it
I
was
wouldn't have thought so, but yeah,
from
would have
what I
thought it'd be
heard,
fresh water.
from what I heard, the lake was a reservoir or something, wasn't it, or some kind of thing like that. But I thought someone said that lives locally to there that it is actually next to a chemical plant, and they pump chemicals into that water. So
I mean, that if she did have chemicals inside it, I mean, kids do go downhill very quickly. I would have thought it would be a few hours, though, still, if it was chemical poisoning. I suppose it depends on how much you've taken, you've ingested.
Also, can we just say thank you to Cher for the super sticker, because that was nice.
Oh, sorry, I'm not on the comments at the minute.
That's
I'm
okay.
on photos.
I thanked her in the comments, but I just wanted to make sure that we said it. So thank you so much, Cher. That's really kind.
Oh, his voice is in here as well.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Oh, bless. Hi, Cher, darling. So who is it that sent the super sticker? I can't see.
Cher.
Oh, is it Cher? Oh, Cher, thank you, darling. It's really kind. Because I was on the photos for so long, I can't see the comments, so I've missed that. Put it on the screen if I can find it.
Yeah, it's not saltwater lake, Emma. It's freshwater.
Freshwater. Can't see the super sticker. I'll have to put your comment on the screen instead. So it just seems strange that Candace told Chris McDonough that Summer does not like to be hot, but then Grandis told a friend that she doesn't like to be cold. So which one is it? Does she have sensory issues? Is it because she's just so very thin? I mean, I don't know.
She doesn't like to be hot. She was in a car that was 80 degrees outside that day, at least.
And she's
and
shivering.
The windows were up because, remember, they said, oh no, we don't have the windows down because she doesn't like it. She gets really cold. So it was 80 degrees outside that day. The windows of the car were up.
Oh,
she was in that car after she got out of that water and put into that tracksuit on a June day. For, according to them, an hour while they went round the supermarket, and she was in that heat. Now, she might not have liked to have been cold, but she certainly wasn't naturally cold. If she was cold in that photo, when it was that photo you showed earlier, or the milk jug photo, if she was cold in that photo, then she wasn't naturally cold, because it really could not have been cold in that truck. It had to have been 100 degrees at least inside that truck.
If she was in, like Slink says, if you're in organ failure because you lost that much blood, whether it be internal or external bleeding, you would feel cold.
Oh yeah, so that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Shivering.
She didn't feel naturally cold. She wouldn't have naturally been cold. It had to have been something induced. If she was cold in that photo, it wasn't because it was cold. It was an unnatural thing, like you said.
Yeah. No, I agree. So apparently at this point, when she started getting these symptoms, they were in Grandma's truck that day, and Grandma had put this outfit on Summer, the outfit that she was going to save for school. Now, if it was something they were going to save for school because it was the first day at school, I'm suggesting that it was a desperate measure, because if you bought something special for somebody to wear on their first day of school, you're not just going to dress them in it willy-nilly, are you? So no. I'm suggesting that there was an urgent need for that outfit, but I mean, maybe not. So we've seen the photo inside the car. It's questionable as to whether that's blood. Like I say, it would be very difficult to tell without actually seeing it for real. You could look at it and say it's blood, because it does, but it also just looks like some water as well, like some juice or something. So it's a bit difficult. So when they got home, Grandis is saying that they got home at 3:30, which is what she told me as well. Now, she told this woman that when they got back, she never mentioned anything about planting flowers. No. She said that she went to sleep in the camper, but Candace rung Dawn straight away when they got back, because Summer was sick. That was the words she used. Summer was sick, and she was concerned, and she was wondering if to take her to the hospital. So apparently Grandis said, well, I'm going to go for a lie down, and Candace drove off to go meet Dawn. That is what Grandis is telling this woman. And this is where they want the statements. So this is where the TBI are asking for the statements. They want to know what was said to Cracking Cases, whether it's true, and whether she actually did speak to Grandis, and they want in the messages.
Critical K, not cracking cases, just to.
Oh, sorry, did I say cracking cases?
Yeah, it's
Critical
okay,
K.
just to keep it straight, because otherwise
Oh,
people are
yeah.
going to be going over to cracking cases.
Oh, yeah,
like,
sorry,
oh,
cracking cases. I meant
yeah,
critical K. Yeah, sounds similar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what they're interested in.
Yeah, I can understand why they're interested in it, because it can, if that story that was told, I mean, this is going back a little while when that was recorded, and I think it might have been put out on YouTube, but I don't
Yeah.
think it was fully put out because it was behind a paywall on Patreon. But
Mhm.
the point that was the thing that made sense about that story that Grandis told, or Grandis told her friend, and then her friend told Critical K, because it came via a third party again,
Yeah.
was that Candace dropped her home. Candace dropped Grandma at home, and Grandma went to lay down in her trailer, sorry. And Candace then said that Summer was sick and that she needed to go to see if she was allowed to take her to the hospital, because she was saying that Candace had to ask Don's permission for everything.
Yeah.
And Candace
Relied
had
on
to
him.
go take Summer to Don to find out if she was allowed to take
Yeah.
him to the hospital. And that
She
was
couldn't
the
make a
last time.
decision. She
That's
just can't
right.
make a decision on her own, which is
And so
concerning.
then Candace took off, and that was about 3:30. She dropped Grandma home and took off with Summer in the back of the truck. And that was the last time Grandma saw Summer. Candace then returned, and Grandma heard one door of the truck open.
Mhm.
Now, I guess it's been speculated that at that point, Candace could have opened the door, taken Summer out of the truck, and, taken her into the house or whatever. But that wasn't what was said. It was basically she had one door of the truck open.
Yeah.
And a little while later, Candace came screaming that she couldn't find Summer, but that the grandma hadn't actually seen the upshot of what had happened when Candace got back to the property. She hadn't seen Summer get out of the car. She hadn't been in a position to see Summer because she was in her bed in the trailer. So the difference with that story was that it fitted the timeline in a much more accurate way if it was true. And I think that that's why they're so interested in the TBI. So I'm interested in this
Mhm.
information, because if Candace took off with Summer at 3:30 and Summer wasn't seen after that, it's quite possible that Summer never made it back to the house after that, after dropping Grandma off.
Yeah.
And that would fit the timeline.
And Grandma even said that she arrived back at 5:30, and she didn't see Summer. So surely she must have asked the question, well, where is she?
Well, you would think, wouldn't you? You would think when she heard Candace screaming hysterically for Summer, coming up saying, as she said she did, screaming, I can't find Summer, I can't find Summer. Do you not think your first question would have been, what happened when you took her to the hospital?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been my first question. Like,
and then she disappears out of state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She couldn't handle it. She knew, and she wants to protect her daughter, but she wants to do the right thing, but she doesn't. She's got it all going on, and she's like, fuck this, I'm off.
Right.
That's
and then
the
she
basis
goes,
of it.
well, the last time you saw your granddaughter was in the back of a truck with her head on some milk, right? And then your daughter says, oh, I think she's sick, I'm going to have to find out if I can take her to the hospital, drives off with her in the truck, comes back, and 2 hours later is screaming that she can't find her. Would your first question not be what happened at the hospital when you took her to the hospital? Like,
this is why these phone pings are going to be so relevant to this case. Now, as we've been told, Grandis apparently uses one of these throwaway phones. What do they call them over there?
Burner phones, or
like
something.
A burner phone.
Oh no, that's called Straight Talk or something, is it? Straight Talk, something like that.
And I think Donald and Candace both had two phones, but I think that's because they got their old ones back and they bought new ones. So I think that's why. But
I
what
think they probably
happened
have more
during
than
that
one
time?
phone anyway, but that's just my opinion.
So so she got back 1.5 hours after. Plenty of time to meet Don and would fit the timeline. As Grandma said, she disappeared at 3:30. She came back at 5:30. That gives her just enough time to drive to Jonesboro and back again, or meet him halfway, do something with her, and then drive back.
Right.
Perfect.
It fits the timeline much more accurately than their first script did, which has gone on for the whole entire thing, that they planted flowers, something, we only get a piece of candy from grandma, she walked back to the door, she was gone for 2 minutes. I mean, none of that ever made sense, ever.
No.
It was
No.
it was like a red flag straight off the bat. But what
Yeah.
grandma said to that friend who then reported it to Critical K
Yeah.
was that the timeline was made the timeline fit, because she got back at 3:30, she took off with Summer in the truck. 5:30, she's screaming she can't find Summer. Well, that would fit the timeline, but by the same score, by the point that that was reported
Yeah.
to Critical K, the grandmother had had 3 months or 2 months or 3 months of being out of the state to think up a better story of how that day went, you know, and she obviously, one of them someone suggested to her, look, the timeline don't make sense, and she sat there and had a thought about it, maybe, and then spoken to her friend and sort of given a different story, because these people never tell the truth. None of them have told the truth since day one. So I kind of, although her story fits the timeline better, I still don't necessarily think it's accurate as to what happened that day, because I don't believe a word any of them says.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we could go on all day talking about all these different people, whether it be Ali, whether it be Candace, Don, the family, the friends. We could tell all their statements, but who do you believe? It is still literally, like I said, listen to everything, believe what you want to believe.
And also question, if these stories are true, then where is Summer? Because no one has that answer. The only person that has that answer is the person that was the last person with Summer that day. And I'm not going to say who I think that is. I think it's inferred. But whoever was the last person with Summer that day, whether it be friend or foe or stranger, is the only person that has the answer, where is Summer? Because that's the most important thing of everything. How do these things, what is the answer as to where is Summer right now, you know? Because
Sorry,
Summer's
I'm
the
just
most
having some
important.
painkillers. I'm in
Oh,
so much pain. It's unbelievable. Saw that message from Candace. I was like, oh, yeah, not good. Trying to sit in any position for any length of time is hard work. So yeah, if you have just joined, go back to the beginning, watch it from the beginning, because we've put out a little statement regarding the TBI and my little conversation that I've had and some of the others have had. We've also talked about the relevancy between the grandma, what she said to me and what she said to this other woman, and how the TBI are interested in knowing who said what, and going over all that. We've spoken about an internal bleed theory and showing a photo of that, and the signs and symptoms that would cause. And we've spoken about what Grandma Candy apparently said to this other woman a while back. We've been going over that. What else have we talked about, Kat? Loads of things. So go back and watch it from the beginning, because it's quite an interesting live tonight, actually. We've talked about some interesting things.
Yeah, I think it's been really good, actually. Like, I was quite skeptical about the whole thing that came out earlier about Don not being allowed at the house and stuff like that, but I kind of think it, like, even if you're skeptical about these things, it's worth just kind of having a chat around it and looking at it in some detail, because you can't really decide what you think is true and what you don't unless you've analysed it in that respect. So it was good to talk through it. I still don't believe it, but it's still good to talk through it.
It's just I've never really fully got with the dry drowning theory. I'm just looking at T.O. girl here and what she said. Still possible. Dry drowning.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. And some of the symptoms you would get from dry drowning are very similar to the symptoms that Summer was feeling. But I just kind of feel that it might have been some sort of internal bleed, and that she was in a bit of shock. And that does come on fairly quickly over a couple of hours. And the symptoms she was displaying would fit with that. And then the photo we've shown, I mean, you can take it or leave it as to whether you think it's blood on her top. Many have speculated it is, some think it's not.
I guess the problem I have with dry drowning, just to interject
mm,
quickly, is that
mm,
the thing is about dry drowning is that the spasming of breath, because it literally fills the lungs, and the child, usually as children, I think, that dry drown, but they really struggle to breathe, and I mean literally can't breathe at all. And I think that if that had happened, I think that would have been more noticeable than the truck
mm.
photo. For example, when the video was being made of Summer at that point, I think you would have seen her gasping for breath. I mean, literally, they can't breathe. So the kind of issue I have, and I'm not medically qualified at all, but one of the symptoms I happen to know about dry drowning is the spasming. And it's common to all dry drowning, the spasming and loss of breath. And I think that would have been much more noticeable
Well,
um,
yeah. Well, I
than
mean,
than
with
it
dry
was from the
drowning,
photo.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I know with dry drowning, the water goes into your lungs, and what happens is your bloodstream usually you usually breathe, and the oxygen goes into your lungs, and then it goes from your lungs into your bloodstream. What
Mm-hmm.
happens is the water goes into your lungs instead of the oxygen, but it soon passes into your bloodstream. So it doesn't just sit in your lungs, it goes into your bloodstream. It goes
Yeah.
around your blood, it dilutes your blood and your red blood cells so much that you literally drown in
Yeah.
water.
You suffocate, like.
Because your blood that's supposed to be carrying all the oxygen is just
Mm.
diluted to extreme amounts, and it goes in slowly, and so that's what
But I
generally
think
happens.
yeah, you're right. Obviously, I know you're right because you
Or
know about these
spasms.
things. But I do know that the
Yeah,
loss
the
of breath
spasm.
and spasming is so
Yeah,
obvious. It's not like subtle. It's not like they could pan that camera around in the car while she's asleep on the milk and she wouldn't be gasping for breath and actually,
yeah.
severely looking like she's, she looks unwell. But what I mean is she's not in that video, even though it's only a split second, she's not gasping or anything like that for breath. It's a very common symptom. And
Mm,
also they'd been apparently an hour from leaving the swimming hole, going to the supermarket. She was in the back of the car with Hunter, apparently playing on TikTok or watching TikTok or whatever, and then wherever else they went, slushies and all of that, and then to drop Hunter off, and then home. In that time, that
mm.
spasming and that loss of breath would have become very apparent.
Well, I think they took that photo of her. I think she was actually unconscious at that point. Her
Mm,
peripheries, her outer extremities had started shutting down, which is why
yeah.
you had that purpling of her finger bed. And they thought she was asleep. And I think they
Hmm.
didn't realize till they actually got home, and she kind of shook her and said, "Come on, Summer, get out of the
Mm,
truck." And she didn't respond. And I think
mm,
that's why then she called Dawn, because she was like, wait a minute, she's not waking up.
mm,
And that would then fit with what that lady said about
yeah.
how she took her to the hospital, because she would have rung Dawn in a panic, oh my God, what's going on? Summer's ill. She was complaining she felt cold and blah, 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 or whatever she was feeling. And now I can't wake her up,
But then think
So
about
that,
it. If she took her to the hospital, she never made it to the hospital.
no, I don't think she
She
ever
never
took her
made
to
it
the
from that
hospital.
house to the hospital. So something else went on in the meantime. I mean, it fits the
Yeah.
timeline of what, I kind of went through a few weeks ago, or months ago, was perhaps Don came to meet her halfway, you know, but ultimately Summer never made it to the hospital, and I don't believe she ever made it back up onto that property either. So what happened in the meantime
Mm.
is still open for speculation, I
Yeah.
guess.
Purple Nights might be going live in a few hours, guys. Check that out.
You love a bit of
Um,
Purple Nights.
Love a bit of Purple Nights. And Sherry, oh, bless her, she's so nice. Oh,
Hi, Lone Wolf Spirit.
wow. We've got our first super chat. That's so nice. Thank you, Lone Wolf Spirit. He says, dry drowning doesn't allow water into the lungs. Secondary drowning does, and also causes shock. Yeah.
Hi, Lone Wolf Spirit.
Hello, Cat. Yeah. So, but I mean, initially you drown, and then dry drowning. So that's secondary. So yeah, I don't think she ever went to the hospital. I think she met up with Don, and he probably said, "I'll wake her up. Don't worry about it. I'll wake her up." And then that extra journey then on top of the fact that she couldn't wake her up. I mean, we are just going over it in our minds and saying, what happened? We don't know. We weren't there, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a
It's
lot to
so
go through, because
sad.
I think the kind of conclusion that I've come to, and this might be way off the mark, I don't know because I wasn't there, is that she didn't die in that house or in the car. There were so many cadaver dogs and
Yeah.
all kinds of dogs all over that property, all over the vehicles. The house was never seized as a crime scene, which
Yeah.
in the disappearance of a child would have been one of the first things to happen, would have been them sealing that house up as a crime scene. I mean, they would have investigated that. They
Yeah.
never seized the cars in terms of, they didn't pick up any scent or anything like that. So to me, something happened in between Candace taking off and Summer going missing that meant that she wasn't back at the property and she didn't die in that vehicle. So it
Yeah.
kind of smacks even more of foul play to me, which is one thing that
I
they were saying earlier.
Yeah. Tio girl, thank you so much for the super sticker. We do really
Thank
appreciate
you.
super stickers.
Yeah, we
We
do.
don't get many. We're not like a huge channel, but we do appreciate everything. It all goes towards the little bit of time that we spend researching and things like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
What I do want to say though is I am, as you know, not a drama channel, will never be a drama channel, and do not appreciate any drama coming in this direction. But what I will say is that I have been quite annoyed recently at the creators, not mentioning any names, that are turning around and saying, unless you go out there, you're sat on your bottoms doing nothing and taking in
Right.
money on the Summer Wells case. I have been on this case since the day that girl went missing. The
Absolutely.
day. Go back and look at my videos. This person that's talking started on the 19th, 20th, a week after Summer went missing. Just because I don't drive out to Tennessee does not mean I haven't done anything. I was the first one to uncover the waterhole situation and bring it to everybody's attention. I think I've done quite a lot, to be honest, and I don't appreciate being told by anybody that I'm sat on my arse doing nothing and just raking in money on the Summer Wells case. I don't appreciate that at all. I don't appreciate what happened to you, Kat, over Christmas and how you were struck when you were actually promoting their channel, and I
won't do
really
that again.
completely disagree with that. And the comments and the rudeness, it's not necessary, and I just do not want any part of it. But I will not be told by anybody that I'm sat on my arse doing nothing and taking in money on Summer Wells. That's not the case. I've done a lot of research on this case and I've been on it from the beginning, very, very rarely ever swaying from it. Even when a lot of people stopped making videos on Summer Wells, I was still going. So I don't appreciate that at all. And I think, there should be an apology for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's all I'm going to say in that situation. Thank you, T-Girl. I did thank you, didn't I, for the super sticker. We do appreciate it. John Q says, good observation, Ms. He always calls me Ms. Emma. I love it.
Oh,
Miss
so
Emma and
polite.
Miss Cat
Thank
regarding
you.
no crime scene tape to secure the house or even the shed below on Beach Creek Road either. Very true. Very true. I didn't see any. I mean, we kind of saw on the news, didn't we? But I didn't see any crime scene tape.
No. But then I think that's because they determined that it wasn't a crime scene. I don't think that was because they were negligent. I think they have to determine if somewhere is a crime scene when a child goes missing. I think that's like their number one priority, is finding out what happened at that house. And if there'd been any hint of foul play inside the house or in one of the vehicles, my belief, and I'd like to think that, I don't know the American police very well, the FBI and all of that, but my thoughts are that the FBI were there, the TBI were there. They would have secured that house as a crime scene if that was the case.
Yeah.
in my
Yeah,
personal
no, I
opinion.
agree. You're right. They
Mm.
should have done, and we didn't see really any signs of that. So, that's a good point there. Jakey says, you have had contact with Grandis. None of the others have. Well done, Emma, and all the way from the UK. Oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, I'm in a completely different country. I spent a week that I could have been spending concentrating on other things, talking to this woman day in, day out, nighttime, good night, good morning, what are you having for dinner? I didn't put all that out because who's interested in that shit? They just want to hear the relevant comments.
Right.
But, I did that for a week. So, yeah, sitting on my ass and doing nothing, just, it's just, anyway, we're not getting involved in that drama. As Rose says, don't get involved in that. It's just
Right.
not necessary. But then also on top of that, I was called out yesterday. I don't know if anybody noticed on one of these lives while they were shouting my name, Emma did this, Emma did that, because they lost an interview and blamed it on me, calling me Evil Exists and my name Emma, and they'd got it wrong. It was, my name's Crime Stories Obsessed, Emma, not Evil Exists. I've got absolutely nothing against Evil Exists. Perfectly nice to me. But the point is that they should have looked into who this person was before shouting my name from the rooftops live to thousands of people, making me out to be a nightmare. And with all the people commenting as well, I was mortified. Mortified.
Yeah, and they call themselves investigators and super sleuths, and they can't even get your name right or your channel name right.
Exactly. Can't investigate a bloody fly if you don't even know what my real name is. Wow. Anyway, yes. So we're not going to get involved in any of that. That's all I wanted to say on that. Job done. I am starting to struggle. One and done. I am starting to struggle a bit, guys. I do need to move around a little bit now, so we probably are going to kind of finish up. I do appreciate all these comments. You are so really lovely in here. Rose says, another classic creator. Bless you. I mean, if you're into true crime, guys, you want to hear about a particular case that you're interested in, you don't want to hear the bullshit. You just want to know what's going on with the case. Have they found her? Who's spoken out? What have they said? What are they doing? Have they arrested anyone? Not what am I having for tea? And about different creators and what they've done. It's just it's creating content from nothing, and I don't agree with it, to be honest.
Well, there's plenty of other places to go if people want the drama and the drama. There's a million channels. If you want the facts and you want the details on cases, then that's why we're here. Well, that's why my channel's here, and that's why your channel's here. We can't really speak for anyone else, but
no, that's right.
We have the interests of the victims at the heart of our channels. I think that's the most important thing to me, is that the victims are at the centre of it, not the superfluous peripheral people who really are, quite extraneous and unnecessary, to be fair. Look at me using words of one syllable and more. I told you not to do that, and I'm doing it.
Mario Cruz says, Emma, I've watched your videos. My husband used to run on the ambulance squad. He agrees with what you're saying. You're very thorough. Hope you're feeling better, Em. Thank you, Mario. That's really nice. I try to. It's difficult because the words I use at work are not the words I use on here, because if I start talking about peripheral shutdown and all sorts of other things, nobody's going to understand what I'm talking about. So you have to try and use English words that people will understand when it comes to medicine, and
Well, I understand it now, and I didn't know any of that stuff before, Emma, so I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I tried to keep it easy to understand. My cat won't get off my knee. Look, we all love you, but it's time to go to bed now. Okay?
You've got 2 super stickers in the chat, Emma.
Oh, let me look. Get down, you silly puss.
Is that Chester being naughty?
No, it's Boz.
Oh, Boz.
Right. Is it after Mario or before?
You've got Mayflower and Above and Beyond, both sent super stickers.
I'm just looking.
They're one underneath each other. I don't know whether they were before Mario or not, because I don't know where Mario's
Oh.
comment is.
Oh, there we go. We've got Mayflower. Found it.
There you go.
Mayflower, thank you so much. That's really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciated. It all helps. You know, the time we spend investigating, putting all this information together, and I'm old school, so I like to write it all down. And so it takes time. And we also have one from Above and Beyond Ancestry Readings. I love her channel. If you haven't been across to Above and Beyond Ancestry Readings, go across. She also covers the Summer Wells case as well. She's quite a big channel now. She's doing really well. So go across to her. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you.
Everybody's so nice in here. We've got Lip Locked. Lip Locked's got a channel, hasn't she? Lip Locked?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, go across to Lip Locked No More. She also covers the Summer Wells case. She likes to give her opinions on what she thinks is going on. So go across and check her out. Hi, Hip E. Hi, Juicy Jules. Kirsty. What does Kirsty say? She says, I love how your channel is those are the girls with the big mouths and nasty accents are nobodies. You can never understand what they're saying and obviously cannot get attention on their own.
I love that comment. Comment of the night. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, just leave that one up.
You got a super sticker from Roswell Baby. Thank you.
Roswell. Oh, let me just read this quickly. John Q says within 48 hours, 72 hours after a missing persons report goes to authorities, they dispatch emergency services to a search location. Canine dogs, a scene security by police should be established right away. Wow, that's very thorough.
Thank you, John Q.
Whether that happens, who knows?
Well,
but it sounds
I kind of
good,
like
John.
to think, kind of like to hope that it did.
So. Yeah. So we've got a super sticker from Roswell Baby. Bless you. Oh, Roswell Baby. Guess what? Don't judge. But I was actually watching, what was it? Love Island, Australia. And I would then, after I'd finished the series, I went on to Married at First Sight Australia. So I think I'm into Australia at the minute. I just watching all the programs.
Do you want to go live there, Emma? I'll come with you.
I do like the accent there. But thank you, Roswell Baby. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't been across to Kat's channel, this is Kat, who I'm speaking to now. Most of you know her. But if you haven't been across to her channel, it's Kat Chats Crime and Coffee. She's covering the Summer Wells case, Michael Vaughan case. She's very thorough, just like me. So you definitely have to go across and sub to her. And guess what? It's celebration time. Kat reached 1,000 subscribers.
Woo, woo, thank you. Thank you to everyone who subbed to my channel. I really appreciate it.
We
it's
do
lovely
really.
to have you in. I do have
we
some
just
lovely,
need to get the hours
people.
now. Is it the hours
we
need
just
to
watch
get?
hours. Yeah, I just need watch hours. So if anyone fancies watching my playlists for a hobby,
yes,
crack on. Go for it.
You've
got another super sticker.
Another super sticker. Wow. True Crime and Eve. Oh, I love True Crime and Eve. She's also got a channel. Go across to her. Check her out. Definitely. Thank you so much, True Crime with Eve. Hey Clark says, I prefer the English accents over being screamed at. Thanks, ladies. I know. I watched one of these streams earlier on, like this live, not mentioning any names, and they were literally screaming, and they were covering the Summer Wells case, and they were screaming at each other. And I was like,
it kind of really bugs me when people put like the names of victims in their title, like they're going to be talking about Summer Wells or Michael Vaughan or whoever, and then they have a screaming match in their name. You know, they criticize other people for making money off cases, and they're sitting there screaming and swearing and effing and blinding at each other while they're supposed to be talking about victims of serious crime, you know, and
abuse.
I'm like, where do you get off doing that? It's ridiculous.
Bad. I mean, I know sometimes we have a little catch-up live where we talk about like what we've been doing and things like that.
Right.
But we
can go off topic. People can go off topic, but don't put the name of a victim in your title and then sit there swearing at each other and cussing each other and throwing things around the room and all of that stuff in the name of the victim. It's just not okay by me.
Well, there was a few of them. They're all supposed to be friends. and they were screaming at each other and
Mhm.
threw one of them off the panel. I was like,
Mhm.
are you serious right now? Like, I don't believe what I'm seeing. Like, you're talking about the Summer Wales case and
Right.
you're literally screaming and shouting at each other, blocking people right, left and centre, shouting at the people in the comments. I was just like, wow, I could never do that.
Mhm.
I could never do that. But anyway,
It's
we're all different.
disrespectful.
It is disrespectful, but we're all different, aren't we? I guess what makes one channel doesn't make another one.
Yeah, you're right. But it's not nice when all channels get tarred with that same brush, you know. I like to think we keep it a little bit more classy sometimes. I hope
Listen
so
to
anyway.
this. Where is it? Ryan says, wow, you've just described 90% of the channels.
Exactly. Let's give you a little bit of a break from the norm over here.
Juicy Jules, I think Juicy Jules is has rewound because she's saying no salt water in Tennessee. I
Oh,
think
okay.
she's
She's catching
a
up.
bit
Yeah,
behind.
no, yeah, I think someone said there was no saltwater lakes in the USA, so I just took
Yeah.
that as true because I don't know. I don't even know
Oh,
if we have saltwater lakes in this country, Emma, let alone in in America.
no,
I've got a
no.
clue.
Salt water's really bad because you know what happens with the salt water? It goes into your lungs, right? It's completely opposite to
Mm.
normal drowning. So the salt water goes into your lungs, and the salt is viscous. It draws the blood out of
Oh
your
man,
bloodstream
I can
and
imagine
into your
dehydrate you like.
lungs
Oh wow,
because of the salt in the water. So it
that's
drags the
horrific.
blood out of, drags all any fluid in your blood. It drags it into the bloodstream.
Oh wow, that's
Imagine it
horrific.
as being
And that
thirsty
must be what
water.
people who drown in the sea, that's what they go through then.
Yeah. And then your blood thickens because it's got a lack of fluid in it. It's got a lack of water in it and fluid. And it just thickens to a point where it just stops. You just, yeah. That saltwater drowning is really horrible.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Well, that's secondary, obviously. You know, if you've resuscitated somebody or they've got out but they've swallowed some, that's what
Yeah.
happens.
Oh, thank you. Enjoyed binge watching me, Lisa Jones. I hope you've got enough
Yeah,
popcorn and snacks.
yeah. Watch her
bring
because she's trying to
bring
get her
Baileys
hours
and
up
vodka.
so that she can become monetized. And I don't think Kat will mind me saying you don't work at the minute, Kat,
No,
and
not at the
it
moment.
would be very, very helpful, very, very
Yeah.
helpful to Kat. It would because you know she does all right, like we all do, but it really would be helpful. So if any guys you haven't subscribed to Kat, go across, watch her videos, let's get her hours up, and then she could get monetized. And
Thank
you
you.
know, any little that you make, it's all good. It all pays for the shopping, you know, especially when you're spending
Absolutely.
so much time editing and making these videos and uploading them, Kat. You know, you're spending your time
Yeah.
doing that.
I'm hoping to make like more sort of like short documentaries. I made a mini documentary the other day about Ghislaine Maxwell. Obviously, you know, she got convicted the other day. So I'm kind of hoping like that's the kind of direction that I want to take my channel in.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do a lot more of that stuff, but I do quite short videos, informational videos, and the occasional live stream. I did one at Christmas where we had a quiz and we had some laughs and we made up some Christmas songs and stuff. So it's a little bit of something for everyone on my channel, I hope.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. And for any creators that are listening right now, Eve, you know, Sherry, anybody that's listening, the best way to get your channel onto the algorithm, mine's quite high up on the algorithm. And the way it happened, I was told from somebody who's been doing this a while, is you make short, sharp videos rather than long, extensive lives. The more you make, you flood the channel, you flood it with your videos, you are more likely to get higher up on the algorithm by doing that. Short, sharp videos, quick ones, get to the point, you
Yeah,
know, 4 or 5 minutes, however long. Take a note, look at Evil Exists. They do similar to me. Short, sharp videos, and they're quite high up on the algorithm. They get a lot of views, 20k views on most videos, you know, and that's the way to do it. Short, sharp videos, you know, it's the way to go if you want to get higher up on the algorithm.
also put everything that's in the same topic into playlists and then people can just watch like all the way through kind of thing, because I
Yeah,
find it really annoying when I'm on someone's channel and I want to watch the next video about that same case, to have to go back to the channel, search for the next video. If it's on a playlist, you can just start at the beginning and watch all the way through all the videos that you want to watch, kind of thing. So
yeah, I've been
I
doing
like
that,
that.
putting them into playlists
Yeah.
today. I've not got right through, but I've been having a good go. John Q says, Miss Emma, bless him. Oh, I love Miss Emma and Miss Cat. I believe that the TBI and Hawkins County Police are going to let CPS dictate all the child negligence and endangerment charges in this case first, then arrest C and D for them later. Now,
Absolutely.
to be honest with you, I completely agree with you there, John. And the reason why is because I feel that they failed these children. Whichever way you look at it, if he was told to stay away from the residence, they didn't take the children quick enough when they realised he wasn't sticking with that. And if he wasn't told to stay away from the residence,
Why
then he
not?
should have been after all the 911 calls with the children running around at 2 a.m. and Candace saying he's coming back to do me in, and the fight with Jose where he got arrested for having a weapon. So, yeah, letting them dictate all the child negligence and endangerment charges, how would that go? Because to be honest with you, I think they've failed them already. So if they leave it up to CPS, God knows what will happen. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, in this country, there would probably be a really, really, really long investigation into what happened. For example, in the case of like Victoria Climbié and baby P, children that have suffered like years and years and years of abuse and been neglected. And then later on, the Child Protective Services or social services have been found to have been at fault. The inquiries take 10 years. They cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. And at the end of it, they try to make some changes, but it kind of pays lip service to it. And then their answer is lessons must be learnt.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope that they do hold CPS feet to the fire a little
But
bit,
they never
because
do. They brush it
yeah,
under the bloody
exactly.
carpet and it drives
Exactly.
me insane.
Yeah. And that's the same. I think that's the same in every country I've ever heard of when it comes to child protective services. There's failings and there's underfunding, understaffing, and undercaring, to be honest. You know, the people that actually fund these services see them as kind of like last resort, kind of, well, we'll throw a bit of money at social services if we've got any left in the budget, you know. It's not the
Yeah.
priority of funding. The priority of funding at the moment seems to be the environment and the climate crisis. And it's like, what about the kids that are starving tonight, going to bed beaten black and blue? What about those children? I'm not saying the environment's not important, but it shouldn't be top of our, this is me being political now, but it should definitely not be top of our funding priorities, in my opinion. Children are
Yeah,
more important.
they are. May says, Emma and Kat, did you hear the video today? Ziggy
Yeah.
and Don. Right. You know more about this than me. Go for
Yeah, I
it,
did.
Kat.
I was watching Ziggy earlier, so I watched it, and so she played a call that was previously unreleased or unheard. I think it was called previously unheard, and it was Don spouting off, as he does, you know, regularly, on a regular basis. And on my community tab on my YouTube channel, I've actually posted, I think it was so I can't remember the name of the channel that clipped it, but I shared it on my community channel. And he says, it's something like, how would you feel, Ziggy, if your daughter was taken hostage, your lovely daughter that you'd only just got back? It would do your head in, or it would mess your head up or something like that. I think it was, the point was where he said that you've only just got back. It was like, well, what is he trying to say now?
Yeah.
To
Just got
me,
back.
right, just got back from where? You know, when did they get her back? What? And to me, it was my
Flip.
personal gut feeling about it was Don starting another conspiracy
Rumor.
theory, because he hasn't done that enough times so far in this case. And so him saying that someone took your daughter hostage that you just got back, to to me, Don knows exactly what he's doing. And he knows if he says these things, even if he just drops them into a conversation and they're being recorded, which he knows they will be, and played on YouTube, which he knows they will be, people will now go crazy going, whoa, whoa, don't they got their kid back? They got their kid back. But in actual fact, to me, kind of 6 months later, I've heard this kind of thing happen so many times that my instinct reaction is conspiracy theory. Don's starting conspiracy theories because
Again.
his child
But
wasn't abducted. That
what does the TBI think about this when they hear these silly things like, when they rang the sister to play that
right.
trick
Oh
when
my
Candace
God.
rung to say he'd been arrested and all these things? Surely the TBI must look at all this and think, what the actual F are you
Well,
guys
that's why it was
doing?
interesting
You're
what you said
taking the
earlier about the
piss.
TBI. But that
Yeah.
was why it was so interesting, because you know that they are actually watching these things, and not only are they watching them, they're making notes and coming back and following these things up.
Well, I think initially they were just writing down the channel names and like little bits of snippets of information. Now what they're doing is they're going round to these particular people and contacting them and saying, right, I need this information. What was it that was said to you? Is it verifiable? And if so, I need a statement from you. And like I said, there was some confusion over what Granda said to me versus what Granda said to this other
friend.
friend. Because when I think it was Jenna made a statement to the TBI, she said it was Crime Stories Obsessed, I think, that had said this about Grandma. But then she had to retract it and say, no, actually it wasn't, because I had to show her. Because Granda's never told me that Summer didn't get out of the car, but she told this other woman. So there's a bit of confusion, a bit of an overlap in who said what. So the text messages between this woman and Grandis and me and Grandis have to be sent in thoroughly. They have to look it up and make sure they've got the relevant information.
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
fancy flying out all the way to Tennessee in order to stand in court and give my evidence. But to be honest with you, I don't really think there was much she said to me that would be anything that would be relevant. She didn't turn around and say, she did say a lot of, he's a div, he's a bit of a dickhead, he's violent, he's cheated, all that kind of stuff. But there was nothing, this is what happened to Summer, so I don't
there
think
wasn't
no.
a silver bullet or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
there wasn't any of that. I'm just moving around.
But to be fair, what they've said to you about that conversation, they will be saying, like you said, they're approaching other YouTube creators and asking for certain information from other people and subs and stuff from YouTube channels. And I think that's really important, because if they weren't doing that, I'd be feeling like I felt yesterday, which is pretty frustrated that all of this information comes out online and it goes nowhere. So in actual fact, them now approaching people that have had contact with Don and Candace and Grandma and etc., and asking them to provide information that they were given, I think is a great move, because it can only help in the case going forwards, that they've got this information to be able to rely on and look at and stuff. So
it's good news, because it isn't just a case of them writing this information down. Where did it come from? They are actually putting it together now as evidence towards them. And I think when they finish doing that, along with the phone pings, along with any tracking evidence from the cars, along with any trail cams, they're putting it all together with the statements, anything that they failed, any polygraphs, anything. And I think they're putting it all together now. And I don't think it will be long. It's usually a year if there's little evidence. I mean, Barry Morphew took a year. The Maya Millette, her husband, that took a year. And it generally is like a year. I don't know why it's a year, but they have to go to CPS and say, look, this is what we've got. Will this go through? Will it be viable in court? Can we use this evidence? So it's all has to be, it all takes time. Doesn't go through in a day, guys. So bear with them. They are doing something. I can confirm they are actually taking statements now. So I'm guessing if Cher and other people that have spoken to Dawn, maybe Ziggy, people like that in time will probably also get asked to pass over anything that they've got if they haven't done it, already. I know Cher has. So John Q says, I believe CPS has obtained at least substantial information from those 3 boys by now. That would implicate both C and D for those charges mentioned above. Then police can arrest them for those charges. I mean, I completely agree. They must have got something from them by now. Surely they have to have got some information from these 3 boys now. They must be starting to feel comfortable. We're talking, what, 4 months,
Right.
4.5 months, 5 months they've been away from the parents. They must be feeling comfortable enough now just to open up to somebody, surely. And they're not
Yeah.
going to tell Don and Candace what the boys have said, because it's evidence. But I'm guessing that on a regular basis, whether it be once a week or whatever, they will have a psychiatrist that will sit with them and make notes. And I'm sure this information will be passed on to the TBI. Now, let's hope John Q is right and something has come back from those boys. But they are still seeing the parents, aren't they? They are allowed to see them. So, that's just a concern still, because are they telling them, look, don't talk, I don't know.
Well, they're not allowed to speak to the boys about Summer, are they? I think that was made quite clear with the gag order that was issued a couple of months ago. There was a gag order originally issued when the boys were taken away, but then about 2 months later, there was another gag order issued, which either meant that the first one had run out or the second one was because they'd been talking to the boys about Summer and they did not want that to happen anymore. They didn't want them influencing those boys.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you can't really say they shouldn't see them at all, but I do think they should have somebody with them when they do, just to make sure. But I heard that they'd taken them out for the day, which to me isn't, what do they call it? Visitation. What do they call it? Where there's somebody there.
Yeah, it's like supervised visits sort of thing.
Supervised visits. John Q says, since the police can't find any foul play charges to file against C and D right now, they will rely on CPS to file their charges of negligence and endangerment first. Then police can begin arrests. Maybe then put pressure on them, hopefully, to,
well, from what I've heard, the police, although they said in that TBI news thing that they did the other day that they, it's a strong possibility that she wandered off, they also mentioned that they were looking into foul play, and up until that point it had never really been officially said that they were looking at foul play. They're not looking at abduction. They don't believe she was abducted. I don't think they really think that she wandered off, because there's so many ways that they could have found her if she just wandered off. And animal activity is one of those ways, bird activity especially. So the foul play, and there was someone, a news reporter, I think it was, I don't know, Channel 5 or something news in the US, posted that he'd had a source on the inside that had told him that they're very much focused on foul play right now.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just going to be a combination of that, gathered with the evidence from the boys, gathered with the evidence of neglect, the evidence of things that they've said on YouTube and done and stuff like that. I think they're going to put a really strong case together. And I, to be honest, I know it's horrible to say, but I'm not sure Summer will ever be found. And I know
No,
that
I
sounds
don't.
horrible, but I kind of think they will have a strong circumstantial case, and they have to before it can go any further anyway, because they only get one shot to prosecute in the US, so they've got to have a strong case. All that evidence together is gonna mount up. It's at the start it might have seemed like circumstantial, weak case, but the longer it goes on, the more evidence they're gathering. I'm sure of it.
I mean, can you imagine, right? Donald stood up in the court in the box, and they say, the judge or whoever says, the lawyer says to him, Donald, can you explain why you rang your sister? Oh, sorry, Candace. Why did you ring your sister-in-law to tell her that Donald had been arrested when he hadn't, making up stuff about Mexico and basically making a mockery and making fun out of the fact that your daughter's missing? What would they say to that? because I see crying and, you know, oh, but how does that go along with the pranks? I mean, are they just young in their heads? What's going on there? Like,
I wonder how much of that will be admissible or allowed in court anyway, to be honest. I know the prosecution would really want to bring all of that drama and stuff to the court, but I've got a feeling that the judge will probably seal some of that stuff and just say, look, it's not going to happen in the court, because they're not the most reliable of witnesses for a start. No one can really say that Don or Candace is a reliable witness in this case.
exactly.
And if
Based,
Don does what he says to his dad and, promised his dad that he's going to throw Candace under the bus, well, I mean, that's even more unreliable in some respects, because he's still got to prove what he knows. It's I don't know how this is going to go down. I just think that they're going to have a strong enough case. If they're talking about possible arrest early this year, then they must feel they're getting close to knowing what happened that day.
yeah, I agree.
Who
I
was
agree. Let's
responsible.
just hope that they do have more evidence than we even think.
Yeah.
Beast Hunter says, I've thought since the first or second week that Don and Candace were worried about Summer starting school this fall, and that the school and CPS would find out what really went on in Mummy and Daddy's, home, bedroom, home. And any bruises, any injuries, if she told anybody, because, she was quite loving, if she happened to tell anyone what was going on. Concerning, isn't it? Concerning. John Q again says, evidence in this case is key to finding out what really happened to little Summer.
Absolutely.
Yep. And CPS will have the upper hand information from what the boys have shared with them for the last 4.5 to 5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And that's, that's going to be obviously pivotal. No, not pivotal in the case. But I do wonder how many questions CPS have left to answer on their own lack of intervention in such a desperate situation that those children were quite evidently living in. So I'm really hopeful that they will have a lot of evidence from the CPS, and that the CPS will push with the prosecution of the parents, etc. Because no kid deserves to live like those children did. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of poverty in the area and countryside culture and all of that kind of stuff, but realistically those kids were so badly neglected. But I really hope that there is also an investigation into the failings of the CPS, because that needs to be done too. Like, they're not perfect in the situation.
Case we look into has some kind of, from what we see as outsiders, like CPS failing. I mean, obviously we're not CPS workers, but from what we can see and what we're told, it seems that it's a thing. And it goes on more than we actually realize, which is quite concerning. So I don't know if anybody knows, just changing the subject for a minute, that I, on this channel, like to do giveaways, and every month I do a hoodie giveaway or hoodie t-shirt, and I usually make a comment in the comment section, and I'll say, just comment below and there'll be a winner for the hoodies. I will drop that in the community page later. For Christmas, I asked everybody if they could put down what they would wish for if they could have one thing for the new year, and there were people commenting that they wanted a date night. There was people commenting that they wanted a bed because they had no bed and they were sleeping on the sofa. Somebody wanted their car paying off, lots of different things. And I decided to buy Prolific a bed, a mattress, and a bunny duvet cover. It's arrived, and she now has a bed to sleep on, because I hate the thought of her sleeping on the floor or on the sofa. Everybody should have a bed, because on this channel I don't just want to take your money all the time. I want to give back. I want to do things for people. As you know, we went to a hostel, me and my little girl Penny, and we delivered boxes of goodies to all the ladies to make them happy and cheer them up. And this Christmas, I bought Prolific a bed. I'm not here telling you because I want loads of praise. I'm telling you because I want you to know that I give back. I want to give back. And I want this channel to carry on doing that, and to give back to people.
Absolutely.
Did you get your hoodie, Kat?
I haven't got it yet. No.
No, it does take
Hasn't
about
arrived
3 or
yet.
4 weeks.
I'm looking
Hi,
forward to
Steve.
it though.
The ex-boyfriend's here.
Hello.
Hi, Steve. I can never pronounce this. Kat, you might have to do it for me. She's like, oh, bless her.
Lornucopia.
Lornicopia has given us a
There you
super
go.
sticker. That is so nice.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Much. Thank you. And oh, thank you so much. May says, oh my God, I love Prolific. She is a friend.
Yeah, she's lovely.
She's lovely. And she sent me an email with pictures of where she lived. And I really needed to buy her a bed. So yeah. We've got to do these things sometimes, you know, because everybody needs a bit of help at times, and you want to try and do what you can. Eve says, you are a true gem and we are so thankful for people like you. This is what we need, and all to do when we can. Yeah, I mean, not everybody does that on YouTube. I don't see people doing that. I like to be a little bit different. I see people receiving super chats right, left and center. I don't push PayPal links and things like that. I do have them in under my videos, but generally I don't push that even in my live streams. If people want to give, they can, and if they don't, they honestly, just being here and listening to us is enough. But yeah, we do like to help people where we
like to pay it forward, don't we, Em?
can. Yeah, of course.
You got a new member.
Cisco's become a member.
Hey,
Thank you, Cisco. We love Cisco.
Welcome.
If anybody wants to be a mod, please just comment that you want to be a mod. Just put mod in the chat, and I'll go back over the chat afterwards and have a look. And if I recognise you, I'll mod you guys. You don't have to if you don't want to. Thank you, Cisco. And John Q says, and as we also have to consider that the Utah DA's office has compiled together to indict Donald for SA charges against him and his earlier transgressions as well. Yeah, so that's coming up. I know he's back in court in February, which I think that's for the DUI, but then also they've got to consider that he that these charges, and as far as I'm aware from listening to Mary on other channels, it has gone through now, so they're just waiting for the evidence, you know, to be compiled and put together, and then it will be arrested for that as well. Oh, bless you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you, Cisco. She's left us a super sticker, Cat.
Thank you. And you got one before that as well. Chemistry Queen gave us a super chat. It says for you to pay it forward. There you go. You got it.
Oh,
Chemistry Queen.
Thank you.
And thank
That's
you,
so
Cisco.
kind. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We do love our chat, don't we, Em?
We do. We've got the nicest. And that's why
really.
I put subscriber only chat tonight, and I slowed the chat down. I've worked out how to do it, guys. I've only been on here a year and a half, but we've suddenly worked out how to slow the chat down. And I thought I'll put it on subscribers only so that you know, just the subscribers can comment tonight. I was so moved by that, Emma. I was all, what is that salty liquid leaking from my from my glands? Tears. Oh, bless you. I'm currently laid flat on my back. Oh, it's jumped.
Oh no.
Where's my comment gone? Oh, it's gone. Oh, there. I was currently laid flat on my back, but live listening. Yeah, I feel like I need to do that. I'm in pain and
Yeah.
moving around, taking my painkillers. I just want to get back to normal, go back to work, live a normal life. I'm so bored right now, guys. So yeah, coming to the end of the live. We've had like 500 people in here at any one time nearly. It's dropped a bit now. People are going to bed, but we do really appreciate every single one of you coming here and listening. Special thanks to all the mods for everything you do. All the people that have, donated to the channel. We share our super chats on this channel. It's half and half. There's no messing around. And we like to try and give back when we can. So
Can you read the comment from Care and Canada? Because it's
Care
great.
and Canada, let's have a look. She said, I love that you are so generous, Emma and Kat. You're truly kind hearts. In Canada, we all call hoodies bunny hugs. So you're sharing hugs. I'd like to give Janet Tucker 68 hugs.
Oh, that's so lovely. I
That's
just
so
literally
lovely.
teared up reading that. I was like, oh, we're giving out
Bunny
hugs. I love that.
hugs. That's quite
Bunny
cute.
hugs.
We're too
It's the
soft,
best.
Kat. We're
Oh, you
just
got
too
another
soft.
super sticker as well from S Cisco. Thank you so much,
I
darling.
keep going back through these really quickly. Like, I think I just go past them. So bad of me. Wait a minute. Oh, Cisco, thank you. Thank you for the super sticker. Bless your heart. Vibes says, well done, Emma, and good luck for the next year. Oh, good luck to all
That's
of you. We all
nice.
need some luck this year, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
John Q says, Miss Emma. Yeah, it makes me laugh
Miss
when
Emma.
he says that. Miss Emma and Miss Kat, thank you
So
both for being a
respectful.
light for summer. I truly have much love for your channel content and everyone who has contributed to you. Oh, thank you,
Aw,
John.
thank
He's
you.
so
That's so nice.
sweet.
It's
He's got the
really
nicest
respectful. I love
accent.
John. He's got a
He
good heart.
is. He is. Bless him. Random acts of kindness are wonderful, Emma. You have a great heart. Thank you.
You do. I agree.
And you do too.
I do.
We try.
Sometimes.
Well, yeah.
No, I do.
So yeah, go across to Kat's
Oh,
channel.
look. Rin E says, I feel like my mind has had a spa day listening to you ladies. That's nice too.
Oh.
We're like a spa day, Emma. Love that.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Ryan. Oh. So, Emma says, Birdsong says, Emma, please, as they say, riddle me this.
Okay.
Apart from 8 a.m. pickup of Hunter was 10:30 a.m. What was going on during the 2 hours before? I've also wondered this. Yes.
The appointment was at 8 a.m. and the pickup of Hunter was 10:30. What was going on for the 2 hours before?
Yeah. Maybe they were watching a film, Birdsong, Who knows? Maybe they were, I don't know, having a snooze.
It's wrapped in a red hoodie somewhere.
A bunny hug.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh God, I'm
Dang,
going to
you
look
all
at
are
Candace's
going.
red hoodie again.
Dang, you're all going to make me cry, Sherry says.
Oh,
Bless
Sherry,
you.
we love you.
Right, guys, that's it for today. We are wrapping it up. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for everybody that's donated and the mods for everything you do, and just thank you for listening to us for
thank
how long
you.
we've been forever, and putting up with me while I move around because I'm in pain. But thank you, guys. Thank you. And if you want to be a mod, just put it in the chat, and I will have a look and mod you.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys. It's been really nice to catch up with you all as well. Nice to speak to you. As always, Emma, a pleasure. Mwah. I love you.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay.
All right. See
Good
you
night,
later, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.